is gonna be okay. What's going on, everybody? Okay, so I think I can get started because people usually they can watch the stream after as well. So anyway, so first I'd like to start the streaming. Hi, what's up? Welcome. Wanted to talk about a lot of people were actually reaching out to me asking me if I saw the Grace Randolph video on the new exclusive she had on the Star Wars, in which she talks about this secret meeting and saying that Bob Iger actually wants Kathleen Kennedy gone. And the cool thing is that, I mean, she says she has sources, right? And according to the sources, Bob Iger cannot find someone to replace Kathleen Kennedy, which, and the reason why, it's because it is a divided house right now. And it's so true, right? So, and people are asking my opinion. So basically, I think that, obviously only time will tell what's going to happen to Star Wars moving forward. But again, I've said in a couple of videos before that I'm pretty sure that they are paying attention, because what companies worry about, it's money, right? And if it's not bringing in money, it's just no longer profitable, then I cannot see how they would not be paying attention to people. Uh, I'll replace Kathleen. Anyone got Bob Iger's phone number? I know. I think even the fans could be do a good job. But the interesting thing that she mentioned there is that, like, even apparently J.J. Abrams was approached, but he doesn't want to take over because again, no one wants to take over a divided house, which is true. It's very, very true, because if you take a job like this and you fail, you could also potentially ruin your career forever. And right now it seems like we are in that road that whatever people do, it won't please the fans, because I think the mess, it was just so big that it's a very complicated how's it gonna move forward. But anyways, today I wanted to talk about an article that is actually, it's in a lot of articles. However, the one that I'm going to be talking to you guys today is the one on Bustle. And it pretty much says like this: Rian Johnson response to The Last Jedi criticism would make George Lucas proud, which I hardly doubt. But anyways, so if you guys are not aware, Rian Johnson is very active on Twitter. Hey, hello, D-Man G9. I think now I got your name right. Hey. Um, Good to get to have you here. So, right. So, what was I saying? Okay. So, the article is saying that Rian Johnson response to the criticism would make George Lucas proud. Because the thing that I have a problem the most is that he really compares himself to George Lucas a lot. Even he said like, oh, George Lucas never really was thinking about the fans when he created that film. And when I actually said it before, is that Rian Johnson has the right to do so, because George Lucas has the right to do so because George Lucas is the creator, right? He's the master creator. So you can't really compare. He can't really compare himself to George Lucas, because obviously he just came in to write and direct one film. And George Lucas was the creator of the entire lore of Star Wars. So, but I still think that he very much so thinks that The Last Jedi was his masterpiece, regardless of the backlash. However, let's talk about this article over here. So something very interesting happened. You may or may not heard it yet, but this article is saying this: to all disappointed Star Wars fans in a galaxy not so far away, director Rian Johnson has the best response to your Last Jedi critiques, specifically critiques that go after his choice to kill off Luke Skywalker. It involves screenshots from the movies that came before his, as proof that that at its core, The Last Jedi wasn't all that different than George Lucas' originals. Johnson's clearly got receipt and a good sense of humor, but don't expect fans to give up on their campaign to see The Last Jedi get remade, which, yes, it is a very real thing, just yet. So, this whole article is talking about a Twitter account called, the name of the Twitter account is Synchrony Design or Synchronic Design, perhaps. I'm terrible pronouncing stuff. And this Twitter account tweeted a photo of a interview where Kasdan and Lucas are talking about storyline and characters. Okay, however, the only thing that is a little bit annoying, that I wish that the Twitter account would have said where this interview is from, because I was looking everywhere and I could not find it. Hey, what's up? Welcome everyone. If you just got in here, welcome. Okay, so in this article over here that the person took a picture and posted, uh, the Twitter account posted saying like this. Mm, this is the difference between George Lucas and Rian Johnson. And the picture says like this. I will show you. Crazy Crab, hello. So can you see it over here? So that's a picture of the tweet right there. What's up, Crazy Crab? Okay, so on this on this let me just get into this article and then I'll read you guys comments. So it's saying right over here on this particular photo of this interview between Kasdan and Lucas. So Kasdan is saying, I think you should kill Luke and have Leia take over. And Lucas said, you don't want to kill Luke. Kasdan replied, okay, then kill Yoda. Lucas replied, I don't want to kill Yoda. You don't have to kill people. You're a product of the 1980s. You don't go around killing people. It's not nice. I think you alienate the audience. And then Kasdan replied, oh no, I clicked on the thing. Kasdan replied, I'm saying that the movie has more emotional weight if someone you love is lost along the way. The journey has more impact. And then Lucas replied, I don't like that, and I don't believe that. I have always hated that in movies. When you go along and one of the main characters gets killed, this is a fairy tale. You want everyone to live happily ever after, and nothing bad happens to anybody. The whole emotion I am trying to get at the end of the film is for you to be real uplifted emotionally and spiritually and feel absolutely good about life. So I really wish that the person that tweeted this also tweeted where this interview is from, because usually I really like to read the whole thing to see what is the context. But the story is not this particular interview. The story is that Rian Johnson replied to this picture. And he replied saying, huh? And he posted a lot of pictures of the original film. Okay? So I will show you right over here. You see? So this is what he replied. And he showed a picture of, Luke Skywalker's uncle and aunt. And then we have Darth Vader killing off Obi-Wan Kenobi, and then you have Luke losing a hand, and then you have Yoda passing. So basically, Rian Johnson kept saying on this article this, okay? So he was back and forth with this person on Twitter saying that pretty much that he was saying that the Last Jedi indeed captured the essence of the originals, because there's no such thing of George talking about not killing characters, because a lot of characters die. That's so true, okay? If you go back to the original trilogy, yes, a lot of characters died. However, he did not kill off the main character, right? He did. This was about Luke's story, and the first picture that he posted over there, and that's why sometimes I think this guy really do not get Star Wars. Okay, the first picture that you see that he posted is a picture of uh, Aunt Buru and Uncle Owen dead, and that picture, that death was important because it was a motivation for Luke to move forward and go with Obi-Wan Kenobi. And then the fact that Obi-Wan Kenobi dies, you also have to remember that the movie is not about your Obi-Wan, okay? The movie is about Luke's story, and what he did, he pretty much sacrificed himself. And you also have the passing of Yoda. Again, Yoda is a character that it is okay for him to pass in the way that he did, because first of all, the movie was not about Yoda, right? So I really don't understand Rian Johnson's way of thinking, because what he doesn't understand, then he's using these pictures to say that the movie The Last Jedi is not about Luke, which is true, right? Because now it's about Rey, okay? That's fine. However, you cannot compare Luke Skywalker to Yoda and Obi-Wan, because Luke Skywalker was way more important than that. There's a reason why the saga was called the Skywalker Saga. And that's the problem that he's not getting. Luke Skywalker is not just any character. That's freaking Luke Skywalker, okay? And obviously, again, the fans wanted to see a good send-off, and people didn't get it, okay? And then the article continues. There were so many of those bad moments, Johnson ended up tweeting with more photos depicting Anakin going dark and Padme and all of that. And then he posted more pictures, okay, of the prequels as well, of the death in the prequels. And I'll show you right over here. See the death right there? Padme, Anakin, Mace Windu, and Qui-Gon. Now, think about it. Obviously, these characters had to die in the prequels because first of all, they were not in the original trilogy. So how would you have Padme in the original trilogy? So it made sense that he would die, right? Mace Windu and Qui-Gon also makes sense because Qui-Gon's death made Obi-Wan become a master, right? And Mace Windu, we also know that pretty much all the Jedis had been, it was the master plan of Palpatine was to kill off the Jedis, and he pretty much succeeded, right? So it makes sense. And the fact that Anakin did a lot of dark things, obviously because the movie, the prequels, is about Anakin Skywalker going dark. So again, where is his logic? But the good thing about this whole tweet account is that the whole discussion was made in a very polite manner, okay? And this is one of the things that I liked, because again, if the fans are approaching these people in a polite way, you are not giving room for them to call people fanatics or racist and things like that, So the good thing about this tweet is that he was approached, whatever he was saying, he was being very polite, and he said like this. He replied to Rian Johnson saying, "I appreciate the response, Rian. My main gripes are that you abandoned the spirit and the heart of Star Wars in favor of your own ideas, opinions, and mindset rather than continue a 40-year legacy. Skywalker and the rest of almost everything in the film subverted all that was. For me," and then Rian Johnson replies, "For me, The Last Jedi 100% distills what the spirit and heart of Star Wars has been in my life. But yes, it is personal. It's a certain point of view." And that's why I'm saying, is this some sort of apology or is it some sort of excuse? And then he continued, "And it has to be. Originals were personal for George Lucas. That's why they are alive. Star Wars films will truly betray the heart and spirit of the originals if they lose that." I mean, I don't even know what he's saying here. It makes sense because again, he shouldn't be comparing himself to George Lucas, because Star Wars is inside George Lucas' mind. He understands this characters better than anyone else, but not Rian Johnson, right? Not Rian Johnson. It's really, really kind of annoying. Zone the 510 Zone, thanks for the super chat. "I fear for Indiana Jones franchise now." Oh my God, I know. So I just heard that Kasdan is also involved in writing Indiana Jones. And you know what? I own every single Indiana Jones film, and it's one of my favorite franchises next to Star Wars. And now, I mean, we know that if like we know, I mean, I don't even know what to say because I really do not want to see Indiana Jones. Obviously you can tell that they're gonna bring Indiana Jones back to kill him off, because I mean, and this is what is probably gonna piss me off the most, because these people are just, they just it just really, really annoys me the most because, first of all, like Rian Johnson using all these pictures of the original to justify the treatment of Luke Skywalker, it really does not make sense because, first of all, we know that the new trilogy is not about Luke Skywalker, but that does not dismiss the fact that Luke Skywalker is and it will always be a very important character for the Star Wars lore. I mean, are you really dismissing that? Luke Skywalker is not Obi-Wan or he's not just Yoda. That's Luke Skywalker. It's so freaking annoying. Okay, let me stop and read a few of your comments. What are you guys saying here? Okay, so Sean said, read that Last Jedi, that's how Lucas ended Jedi, and we were happy for 30 years. Correct, and that's the thing, like, they're gonna bring the new characters, right, and they're not gonna treat them right, and just thinking that, it's not even the fact that Luke was killed, because if you think about it, that's probably something that would happen anyways. It's not that. It's mostly the fact that the way and the execution of the entire idea. We know that Luke Skywalker was made fun of in order for people to connect with the new characters because they're not intelligent, they're not creative enough to write characters that people are actually going to relate, right? This is what is really annoying. What else are you guys saying here? Crazy Crab just recorded another Maybelline parody, Chuck Berry, called Hey Kathleen, haha. You guys should all check out Crazy Crab because he has a very fun channel with parodies, and I will check it out too once I'm done with the live. What else they're saying here, you guys? What are you guys saying? Peru, Lars were minor characters. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. They were minor characters, Luke Skywalker. But Rian Johnson's idea now is that the reason why he's doing that is because Luke is no longer the main character, and that's where he's wrong. Because okay, he's probably not the main character. The main character now is Rey, but you cannot dismiss the fact that Luke Skywalker has been the main character for pretty much all these years, and you cannot just bring him back and just give him a treatment that is so disrespectful and expect people to just be happy about it. Another Count Zaroff, thank you for the super chat. Ending Luke's arc as a loser is unforgivable. Rian Johnson should never approach a pen again. I completely agree. Because the point is not even, again, and I said it, I don't know how many times do I have to even repeat myself. I think the fans were more pissed off because of the execution of the ideas. It's the execution of the ideas, okay? It is so frustrating to see the way that they disregard the entire lore of Luke's, or entire arc of Luke Skywalker. Just, I mean, how could they actually think that this was gonna work? It does not make any sense. Let's see, what else are you guys saying here? Nene said, there's a difference between someone dying to progress the plot and someone dying in a hero's journey fail. That is so true, so true. Rio Court said, waited 30 years to see a grumpy Luke and not even a real fight. Right, right. He purged the old characters on the Order 66 of KK. So true. That is so true. Mike Peters said, hey, here comes Indiana Jones and the social justice warriors. I don't even want to think about that. Because I really love Indiana Jones. And now that I know Kasdan is involved in writing as well. However, Steven Spielberg is also involved. And Steven Spielberg, I have hopes for Steven Spielberg kind of not making sure that this character is treated well. And also we know that Harrison Ford is the kind of character that, a kind of actor that he has some control over his characters, so I'm pretty sure that he would only be willing to come back if he agreed to whatever they're going to put on the script. Uh, Wayne Lamb said, Ryan Johnson isn't an idiot. Idiots need an IQ of at least 30. I doubt he gets into double figures. So I don't know anything about that, right? But in my opinion, his ideas for the new trilogy was really not very smart. Um Cathcart said he's ignoring that to try and deflect the criticism about The Last Jedi coming at him. That's so true. And also, with all this conversation that Kathleen Kennedy will be leaving soon, that Bob Iger is actually aware of the whole situation. Of course he is, because if you're a business person, you cannot just ignore people's criticism. They're probably just trying to not to bring too much attention to it. However, they are aware for sure. Okay, Blee Jr. said those 80 blockbusters were classic because they played to the sentiment of that era. All these decades later, sequels, soft reboots are just banking on nostalgia, but are unnecessary. And I totally agree. Why would they even bring the beloved characters if they didn't know how to continue their storyline? Okay, they had proper arcs before, and right now they just brought them back because bringing them back would also bring tickets and sales, because you would have the old fans going there. But instead of locking in the original fans, they disrespected the original fans because all they care about is the new characters, right? I mean, why do you have to destroy Luke Skywalker in order for us to like Rey? Why can't it be something that he's still that Master Jedi passing the torch to Rey? It's just, I don't get it. I honestly don't get it. What else are you guys saying? I got lost. Sorry, guys. A lot of comments here. Jimmy Stone, read my comment, please. Did I read your comment? Where is your comment, Jimmy? Count Saraf, thanks for the super chat. Star Wars isn't threatened by strong female characters, hint Leia. It's threatened by idiots like Rian Johnson and Crazy Crab KK and Crazy Crab. Sorry, Crazy Crab, Crazy KK. That is so true because again, is that thing where they don't know how to write strong female characters, and you know what the problem is, they think that they know how to represent women, but they actually don't. Okay, bringing women that have attitude and they're not very nice, they're not very likable at all. I mean, how could you expect people to connect to this character? People didn't have problem with Leia because Leia was a super cool character. Okay, she was not like I just, these people should all go back to film school, film 101, okay? Gabriel said, Blee Jr., I agree, but I also think the 80s are better quality in terms of writing. That's so true as well. It's actually so sad. Nowadays, I feel that we live in an era of lack of creativity, okay? Quality is needed. That's so true. Okay, what else are you guys saying? Mike Reeves said, this is exactly why I believe Disney will never give him his own trilogy. Well, perhaps not, especially since we're hearing a lot of talks of Kathleen Kennedy leaving. And if she's really leaving, it really depends on who is going to take over as well. But if she's really leaving, I'm pretty sure if she goes, Rian Johnson should go too. Because unless they sign a contract or something like that, which I don't know. But it's very weird, guys. Think about it. This is why I don't understand Kathleen Kennedy's decision. How would you give a trilogy to a director that is not even that experienced, okay? He made Looper, okay? He made a few episodes for Breaking Bad, okay? One thing is you giving this guy a movie, okay, to direct. But I disagree that they gave him full control. They should have had a writer and director thing, not have him have the full control. And then before the movie is even out, she greenlights a trilogy for this guy. How does that make any sense anywhere? It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Since Stout hated the way Johnson treated Luke, I absolutely agree. Dimensionai said Luke isn't the focus character, but he is Star Wars. That's exactly what I've been saying, okay? And that's the excuse that they're using to kill him off. And that's this Twitter, this article. I will put the link below so you guys can read it later. This is what I've been trying to say. Like, you can use these pictures of the originals, right, to say George Lucas had so much death and so much this and that. But first of all, it was not the original characters, not until their arc was finished, okay? And second of all, Luke Skywalker is and will always be a very important character to the Star Wars lore. You cannot just pretend that he's not important. You can't, okay? You can't. I mean, let's talk about another thing. I was seeing an interview with J.J. Abrams where he said that the reason why Luke Skywalker was not a lot on The Force Awakens, it has a lot to do with the fact that every time they would bring him in, it would like unshine Rey. So right there, you can see that their way of thinking is that they're not creative enough to write a compelling character. That they're so scary because you have this strong character that is Luke Skywalker that everyone loves, and yet you cannot write a compelling way where you would have Luke Skywalker being this master Jedi along with Rey. I mean, why? Why was he so scared to bring Luke Skywalker? Because obviously they want people to disconnect from the old. But again, disconnecting from the old, it does not mean that you have to make fun of the character and pretty much like have like Luke Skywalker milking a sea cow and like being beaten by Rey, you know. It's just like it just baffles my mind. It really baffles my mind. Like, it's all to do with the execution. I know that this new trilogy is not about Luke Skywalker, but at the same time you cannot just dismiss the character and pretend that the character is just like Obi-Wan or like Yoda, because he's not, okay? Luke Skywalker has been the lore, the core of Star Wars for a very long time, and he obviously they should have known better, okay? Mike Peters said Lucas has said in many interviews Star Wars is the story of the Skywalker family. To push Luke aside for new characters is what is ruined the franchise. Also, Rey should be a Skywalker. I mean, as far as what Rey is gonna be right now, I really don't know, because they already established her as a nobody. I have no problem with her being a Skywalker, at the same time that I have no problem with her being a nobody. Obviously, as a fan, I would not like to see the Skywalkers dying, okay? The most interesting thing in the movies lately for me now is Kylo Ren, because, you know, he's the son of Ben and of Han and Leia. And even though they didn't give him much to work with, you know, like he's no Vader, obviously, I still find that interesting. But again, if they kill him off in the next movie, that means the Skywalkers are dead, especially if Rey is not a Skywalker. So yes, Star Wars has always been about the Skywalker saga, but it's very clear to me that they don't want that to continue. They don't want to keep saying that you have to be a Skywalker to be powerful, which, you know, this is another problem that I disagree as well. Like, when we look at the prequels, we had all these Jedi that were also very powerful, okay? They were no Skywalker, but they were also very powerful. I mean, it is possible that you would have other powerful Jedi as well, even though you were not a Skywalker. So I'm okay if Rey is not a Skywalker, but I'm not really okay if they really completely kill the Skywalker from Star Wars, because I don't even know if that's gonna work, to be honest, you know? Emma said, hi Viv and everyone, are we talking about my favorite person? Well, if your favorite person is Rian Johnson, yes we are, and welcome. Humphrey Bear, I'm pronouncing this wrong, but I'm just gonna say Bear. The Force is not female, the Force is Luke. I mean, I would say that the Force is for everyone, not only for Luke. I would say that. Okay, Diana said, Jimmy Stone, Viv, my comment. Where is your comment, Jimmy? I can't find your comment. Counselor Ralph said, thanks for the super chat. Kylo Ren takes the crown for the worst miscast in Star Wars. I mean, who is intimidated by Ida Driver? You don't like him? I mean, I actually, as an actor, I think that he's a good actor. And I think that the problem is the storyline and what they're giving him. You know, I think that they're not writing him, and it's raining a lot. Can you guys hear it here in New York? Whoa. Hope the stream will be okay. But anyways, as I was saying, I have no problem with Adam Driver as an actor. I think that as an actor he's really good. I think it has more to do with the script, and that's why he's not even that threatening, because they are making him look like a, a boy, you know, someone that is still so lost that he's no Vader, you know, his motivations are not super clear. To me, it's still not clear why he turned to the dark side completely. No, it doesn't make sense just because Luke attempted to kill him. Now I'm gonna turn to the dark side. So it's still, his arc is really like up in the air. But I do find him very interesting. But again, it's these writings that they are doing with these characters. I think they're just ruining every single character one by one. Uh, Blee Junior said, but also I do not blame actors who are working to get paid, especially when they only get asked to return decades later. What is best sacrifice is story. Blade Runner 2049 is the exception. Uh, Well, that's so true, right? I mean, I don't know why. It's very hard for people. I think sometimes it's hard for you to disconnect the actor from the role that they're playing. But I mean, you still have to remember at the end of the day, these people are just actors, right? And they're not really responsible for their roles. Sean Stout hated the way it does. Okay. Uh, Walt Disney was, oh my God, I got lost. Sorry, guys. Okay, besides Mace Windu, death was instrumental in turning Anakin and make him embrace the dark side. That's so true. Again, people are not. This is why I find Rian Johnson, everything that he's talking about, he's just doesn't. He doesn't understand the lore. You know, he doesn't understand the lore. It is just so annoying. Jimmy said. John Campion said in January that he knew that Snoke will die in the Star Wars Last Jedi. Campion also said he knew that Maul was in Solo movie. Did Sam Witwer or Freddie Prinze told Campia? I don't know. I don't really follow John Campia, mostly because I tend to disagree with a lot of the stuff that his reviews, because I mean, he seems that he has connections there, and it's hard for you to, if you have that kind of connection, to be objective. And I think his reviews, I don't know. I don't really follow, but yeah, probably someone is tipping him off for sure. Okay, Jeff Toon, thank you for the super chat. Kylo is the only character with a functioning story arc. Also, I think Rey should turn to the dark side and Kylo should be redeemed subversion. Oh my gosh, I know. At least if Rey had turned to the dark side, it would be something interesting to see in the next episode, right? Because not even that, they cannot touch Rey, you know, because Rey cannot. That would be. I totally agree with you. I think if when he actually said come with me, if she had went with him, that would be something that would be very surprising. But again, it still does not dismiss the tragedy, or the disgrace that they done with Luke Skywalker. And you know, it's really, or not Luke, Leia and Han as well. I mean, how dare these people take a beloved franchise and not even take, like, this was supposed to be passing the torch, okay? You didn't have to destroy the character the way that they did. And again, they're never gonna admit that. Wayne Lamb said John Campion is a shill. Mike Greaves said, whoops, I lost the comment, sorry. Where am I? I definitely think Rey will turn dark side at this point. Also, I think she will. She's Obi-Wan granddaughter. I would love to see her being Obi-Wan granddaughter. I think that would be something interesting. I think that would be something that. The only reason why I wanted more of an explanation of where she's from is not because someone needs to be linked to someone, but it's mostly the fact that they made her way too powerful without giving anyone an explanation. They destroyed the character's arc, okay? What else? And damn, that dude is a cringe. You guys still talk. Who's a cringe? I didn't say that. Okay. Am I caught up with all the comments? Think so. My grief is right now moving to New York. New York is big for everyone. Come on to New York. Okay, so let me go back to this article. I think I got caught up with most of the conversation. I'll come back there in a little bit. But let's see what else this article is saying here. Uh, okay, so Rian Johnson wrote on back on The Last Jedi was certainly his take on Star Wars universe, but it still distills what the spirit and the heart of Star Wars. And but the thing is, like Johnson replied to that tweet. Okay, he said, uh, yes, it is personal. It is a certain point of view. It has to be original or personal for George Lucas. That's why they're alive. Star Wars films will truly betray the heart and spirit of the originals if they lose that. Again, I don't even know what he's talking about here. You cannot compare the originals to what you did in The Last Jedi. And then the article ends by saying, in the end, these two might just have to agree to disagree. But it's nice to see some polite discussion on Twitter, which I agree. I think if a lot of the fans were on Twitter being polite about this, how they are even approaching Rian Johnson or whoever is involved there, it would completely kill their narrative, right? Because I mean, why? It would be just them barking at people if people are actually approaching them in a polite manner. But it says, the article ends, no doubt this won't be the last time a fan goes after The Last Jedi on Twitter, and probably won't be the last time Johnson feels compelled to defend the film. Still, this response is pretty epic and should at least shut down the argument that Lucas never killed any Star Wars characters once and for all. And that's pretty much the end of this article, in which it's discussing the whole idea that Rian Johnson is kind of saying that the Last Jedi is a point of view, that to him it is completely in agreement with the original trilogy and even the prequels. But he's still dismissing the fact that Luke Skywalker, you know, you cannot compare Luke Skywalker to these other characters, okay? Because Luke Skywalker is a extremely important character, and is a character that basically they used to also bring people to watch the films, right? And then obviously all you should have done is given people a pleasing send-off, okay? But they're not capable of doing that. It's extremely annoying. Okay. Okay, more chats. Let's see. What are you guys saying? Footballer Bowler to Go said, I have an idea for a subversion. Kill off Rey to prove that she isn't a Mary Sue. That would definitely prove that she isn't a Mary Sue. However, I'm not so sure they would be that bold to do that. You know, obviously, but they definitely need to come up with some more compelling way to further her story, because I think right now it is just a mess. Tony said, if Rey turned, the dark side could never be defeated. If Rey turned, the dark side could never be defeated. That's so true, right? Because the way that they make her so powerful. What else? What else? What else you guys saying here? Doble Gamer said, before the death of his body, Darth Jar Jar transferred his consciousness into Rey. Yeah, I heard a conversation like that as well. That the reason why she's so powerful, it's because while it's always excuses, you know, because while Snoke was doing the link between Rey and Kylo Ren, she kind of got trained in the way. And to me, this is just lazy writing, and it's just a way to explain something that they didn't think prior to writing the story, and now it's just an excuse. What else are you guys saying here? It's so hard to no longer want to support Star Wars, but my family has a tradition to see the films together, so even though I would otherwise not go see it, it will honor seeing it for family. Yeah, it's so sad for people that really like. It's the same with me, you know. I got into Star Wars because of my dad, and so did my brothers, you know. And obviously, you don't want to see that your beloved character was a complete failure. The way that it's just how it's just crazy to me how they were so not smart in when they took over this franchise. Crazy Crab said, I used to think she was maybe a Palpatine. Yeah, right? It would be interesting if she had a connection to the dark side. Maybe she will. You know, we know J.J. Abrams can come in and change that. Uh, Darth Jar Jar, most powerful Sith ever. Cool, cool, cool. What else? Oh my gosh, I'm so lost in your comments. If she turns to the dark side, the end that ends the theory of her being a Mary Sue right there. Well, maybe, yeah, definitely, because that means that she's not unbreakable. Anthony said, Ray or Superman? Superman, are you kidding me? No comparison there. Disney needs to be punished. Well, they are being punished right now, right? Because the fans are no longer supporting that the stuff that they're putting out there, right? Cheeseburger Jedi said, if they had made Rey a Skywalker, the audience would have cared more about her. Luke's death would have been more accepted if they gave him a good send off in 9. That's so true. I I definitely agree. You know, I definitely think that you don't have to make her a Skywalker, but the way that they wrote the story, that would be the only explanation why she's so strong. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that if they had revealed her as a Skywalker, people would care for her more, for sure. Jeffrey said Rey, because Superman as green kryptonite. Oh, that's true, right? But that's the cool thing. Like he has a weakness as well. You know, she doesn't. I still stick with Superman. Superman, I love Superman. What else are you guys saying? Rey has no flaws, making her automatically unlikable. The only real flaw is her family, but it doesn't really affect her. We're really gonna find out exactly what her family is gonna be like, right? Okay. At least Greg said, at least she would be more interesting with her as the dark. I think so too. If she was, I think it would be super interesting if she went to the dark side, because that not would only kill off the entire hope of the rebellion, because she's kind of the hope now, right? Because they kill off Luke and all of that. But imagine if she completely turned from the dark side. So she's super powerful. Kylo Ren is super powerful. That would make a very interesting film, because then you would think, wow, how is the rebellion going to fight against these two powerhouses, you know? But again, they didn't really think about that, did they? They can't touch Rey, you know? She's untouchable. She doesn't even need her arc, you know? She doesn't need to train. How annoying is this thing that uh, she doesn't need to train, you know? I think that was the worst thing that annoys me the most. And I could not forget but think back at that scene where she's having this fight with Luke Skywalker, and then she kicks him over the back. I was like, how is that even possible? You know, Luke Skywalker should be able to just put her in her place, you know? It's just so, it really annoys me. What else are you guys saying here? Revenge of the Fangcot. It's so true, right? The novel, which part was filmed as the Blade Runner? Okay, hey Viv, I thought I missed the stream. Daniel, welcome. You didn't. I'm still here. Probably will be here for another couple of minutes. But let's talk. Let's talk. What else? Mike said, actually, I think the flaws in The Last Jedi script are a good thing, because it forces people to see the programming. It's harder to eat poison candy, and they leave the skull on the wrapper. I mean, uh, I don't know. I wouldn't say that. I don't think that it was. Well, yes, that's true. It does get people talking about it, and it does get people. But the problem is not that. The problem is the fact of the division that the movie created, because it created in a such way that it's not even. Sometimes I just need to take a break too, because it's really very upsetting that a franchise that lasts for so long, because people got really excited and have families talking about it. Now it's something that it's a subject of war, because now you have this two extreme where people either really love it or people really hate it, and they can't find a common ground, and that's what is really annoying. I think I'm gonna sneeze. Maybe not. Joshua is asking, do you like The Force Awakens? I, well, I'll say this, okay? I liked The Force Awakens, okay? I didn't think it was a perfect film. I think it had a lot of flaws. Obviously, it's a complete ripoff of the original. However, I was completely on board. Uh, at the end of that movie, I still thought that, wow, I really want to see what happens next, especially because I didn't like that they killed Han without having a proper reunion of the original cast. That was the one thing that I was upset about. And the second thing that I was really upset about is the fact that Luke Skywalker, it's basically non-existent in the film. But other than that, I thought that The Force Awakens introduced the new characters in a good way. So that I liked. But again, I just feel that the story did not go forward in The Last Jedi. I think The Last Jedi actually went backwards and destroyed everything. But yeah, I did enjoy The Force Awakens. I didn't love it, but I enjoyed it. I saw it many times in the cinemas, in the cinema. Okay, even if they do write Rey as less of a Mary Sue, they'll never convince us. They didn't do it because of the backlash making that decision. Whoa, that's true. Right. The King Pinkies, thanks for the super chat. The only way I see them making this better is Kylo kills everybody. Still, they screw up with Luke, Han, and Leia. It would mirror the sequels. You know what? If something that extreme happened, would be very, very interesting indeed. And also the fact that he still has the Skywalker blood, right? But yeah, can you imagine that if he just killed everyone? I'm not sure. I honestly, right now, I have zero clue of how could they even make the movie interesting, or how could they make something that would fix the mess from The Last Jedi. Is that even possible? Is that even possible? I think it's only possible if they bring Luke Skywalker back, and this time they actually fix his portrayal, because people are not happy, and people are really not happy, and that's all I have to say. People are not happy. Okay, wow, a lot of chats over here, guys. Sorry. Jeffrey said, what have they done to Chewie? He's basically furniture now. I know. Like, see how they don't know how to write characters into the story, And this is what it's just so crazy to me, because think about it. When they got this franchise from George Lucas, they got a mind gold. If you think about it, all you have to do is implement new characters along with the old characters, but they don't seem like to be able to do that. They don't know how to write characters that would go along with the original characters. It seems to me that this is what sometimes I think, I think that either Kathleen Kennedy had something against George Lucas, okay, and then now she just kind of lied, and now is her way of creating revenge. Because why could they not possibly give these original characters a good send-off, and why can they not have the new characters being along with the original characters and make the story compelling? Why? It's something like, it's just so freaking annoying. Kinky, thanks for the super chat. The only way I see them making this better is Kylo kills everyone. Oh yeah, I already did that. Oops. It keeps going back. I still need to learn how to read these things in order. It keeps going back. Sorry. Okay. What else are you guys saying here? The sequel, Alexander said the sequel trilogy is unfixable and they don't want to fix anything. It's pretty, I mean, that's how I see it too. It's very hard to fix it from now on, you know. Obviously, especially because they started bring a certain agenda and they don't even know how to use that properly, you know. They don't know how to create, how to add their politics into the film, and they just don't know storyline, you know. This movie should not be about these politics, it should be about these characters, you know, these human relations, these adventures. Absolutely irritating. What else are you guys saying here? Mm-mm-mm-mm. Swamp Fox said, I hate that the movies are made for casual audience, but then there is plot holes. They say, read the books. I know. The same thing that annoys me the most, I know. First of all, if you have to have your audience go look into separate material to understand what's going on in your film, you did not make a good movie. I'm sorry, okay? Oh, I'm gonna sneeze? No, I'm not. You have to understand that the people that go watch these films, it's people that are the original fans, obviously, the casual fans, you know, people that just watch the films, and those that don't really read the source material, like they don't read books or play the video games and things like that. So you cannot really expect to have people, if you don't fully explain what's your line of thought within the 2 hours that your movie is going to play, you just made a bad film, okay? And you cannot just come up with books later to fix kind of mistakes from the films. Like, for instance, I only found out that the bombs that fall on the space like that, they fall the way they do because they were magnetic, and that is something that is on the book, okay? It's just really, really irritating, you know. It's really, Mike Reeves, 100% agree, Vivian. Bless you in advance if you sneeze. Thanks. Thank you. Yeah. Because the thing is like this, okay? A lot of, obviously, when you watch a movie, there's always going to be little problems, and it's not that people are nitpicking stuff, okay? People are what's the word, nitpicking stuff, mostly because the whole plot line was a mess, okay? If the plot line was more coherent, you know, it made sense, people would ignore certain things, like, for instance, the bombs or hear other stuff. But it's not that. It's just like everything is just out of tone, you know? Like, it doesn't, it just, I don't even think I can get myself watching that movie again. I really don't. The only film that I'm interested in seeing right now is Ivan's cut, and also someone else reached out to me on Twitter that is doing a cut, but this person is not really adding stuff like Ivan is. He's just taking stuff out and making a shorter cut. But I'm gonna check that out as well, and I'll let you guys know how that goes. Count Zoroff, thanks for the super chat. One redeeming quality of the new trilogy, it makes the prequels feel like Citizen Kane compared to this drivel. So true. That is so true, you know. Even so irritating that they keep saying that. How could people see that this is like, these people saying that this movie is a masterpiece? It's just, it really does not, it does not make any sense to me. Please said, you're going to sneeze. Maybe, I feel like I'm going to sneeze. Like, I feel my nose is itching. Gosh. Please saying, if you haven't already, go watch Mahler, the critique. I did see it. I thought it was a very incredible critique. Very long videos, but very, very incredible. Yeah. Okay, Anthony said, Viviana, super chat. If Rey is related to Skywalker or Solo, that will be so dumb, because Leia, Han Solo, and Luke didn't know who Rey is in The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. I think that Rey is a Kenobi. That is so true, but you know what? what is it not dumb about these films? So if they're gonna say that she's Skywalker, I would not be surprised. A lot of things is pretty dumb in these movies, seriously. Okay. Doppelganger said Hollywood seems to make older characters seems less competent as the decades go on. Older films had many capable older heroes. Focusing on mostly the young is boring and disrespectful. I totally agree. You know, I completely agree. I think the problem nowadays is first of all, the studios, they want to get these big franchises, right? And they want to reboot these characters. They want to bring them in because they know that they will sell, and they will bring the original fans. However, they bring in the original fans, but they're not being respectful towards these characters, and that's what I don't really understand. You know, how come? How I don't know. I don't know how many times do I even have to repeat myself. Why could they not just have given a proper send off to all these characters? You don't even have to kill them. You know, you could have ended the movies with them alive somewhere else, you know, because then when you go back to the next, let's say, a following trilogy in the future, it could be taken many years in the future, and I mean, do you really need to see these characters dying like that, you know, especially if they're gonna have stupid death, you know? I thought it was terrible when they killed Han Solo the way that they did. Not because Han Solo is dead. I thought that obviously it was very tragic to see his own son killing him the way that he did. However, do they have to do that before even having the band get together? I mean, how fun for the fans would have been to see those three back together. You know, it would have been incredible. But again, why could they not listen to George Lucas' ideas? They didn't have to do the whole wheel stuff, but we do know that George's idea was to have Luke train Leia, and obviously he had a different arc for all these original characters, because there's one thing that George Lucas understands. He understands his characters. But why can't they just do that? It's just, it doesn't make any sense. What, you know, they don't have, they not, it's like they completely disregard everything that has been done on Star Wars, and they just want people to accept it. It's absolutely stupid. And Rian Johnson with this whole, at least this last Twitter that I read for you guys here, he was not being disrespectful. At least this conversation between him and Synchronic Design was actually a polite conversation, which I'm very surprised, because, you know, he really loves making fun of the fans. Okay, counts are off. Thanks for the super chats. Let's have KK abducted by aliens and put Vivi in her place at Lucasfilm. I'm pretty sure I would do a great job. Okay, I might not know how to run an executive company, but I definitely understand the lore, and I could be a great addition to the creative team, right? So the other thing that I'm pretty sure all of you guys have checked Grace Randolph's video, where she talks about the secret meeting, you know, and the fact that they're looking for another person, and but they're not sure if they would give this position to David Filoni, even though everyone from the fans would like to have David Filoni, because they're happy with what he did with Rebels, and also he had a good relationship with George. But this is what I think. I think that obviously you can understand that running a big company like that, it's no picnic, okay? And you definitely are gonna need someone that has some sort of experience. However, just like Grace said, he doesn't have to do it alone. You could have a creative team, someone in charge of the creative aspect of the film, and have someone that understands the business, you know? It doesn't have to be one person to do it all, because clearly we see that Kathleen Kennedy does not understand the lore at all. She might have an idea of business, but not even that, right? Because first of all, she keeps saying we don't have to cater to the fans. Then second of all, the force female is female thing. Again, like, where is the equality that they've been talking about? The force is for all. It's not supposed to be just female, right? So all of this stuff and all of this controversies, and now it's just, it's about time that they would take Kathleen Kennedy and they will take Rian Johnson and send them home. Okay, it is about time. They've done enough. Uh, Sinai Big Float, thanks for the super chat. Look at Kathleen Kennedy, a liar story on YouTube. Look at, is this a video or is this a proposed video that is out there? Because this is exactly should be a name of a movie. Kathleen Kennedy, a liar's story, because that's exactly what she did to George Lucas, right? Completely lied, saying that she was going to, make sure that these characters are very well treated, that make sure that the idea that George Lucas has for them continue to live on. And I'm sorry, Leia flying in space, I don't see George Lucas doing that. Or Luke Skywalker milking sea cow and being beaten by his Padawan. I don't see him doing that, okay? To me, it's just, it's a really sad time. Really sad time. Oh, it's your video. Okay, cool. Look it up. I will check it out. I will check it out. What else are you guys saying here? Okay, people don't like episode 1 and 2, but at least people still like those movies more than the sequel. I love buying the prequel merchandise. Yeah, I agree. The problem with the thing with the prequels is this, right? There was a backlash. Obviously, some people were not happy with the midi-chlorian thing, but it was not a movie that betrayed Star Wars, okay? It actually expanded the world. It created this whole thing, like how cool the whole Jedi fights and all. I mean, the coolest thing about Star Wars is lightsabers. They're taking all of that away, okay? All of that doesn't matter, I mean, what's the point of even going watching a Star Wars film right now if it's not even fun, It's so stupid. It's just, it's crazy. Okay, another super chat. Thank you, Count Zaroff. Am I the only one worried about potentially upcoming Obi-Wan Kenobi or maybe Obi-Wan Gay Nobi? You never know with these creeps. That is so true, you never know. This is my problem as well with the Obi-Wan Kenobi film. Would I love to see an Obi-Wan Kenobi? Of course I would love to see an Obi-Wan Kenobi. That would be awesome, okay? However, I do not really trust that these people could carry these beloved characters' stories forward without ruining it, unfortunately, Unfortunately, first they've done it with Lando, right? The whole pansexual thing, completely unnecessary, okay? Then they did with Leia flying in space. Then they have Luke Skywalker doing all these stupid things, right? It's just a complete nonsense. So yeah, I absolutely agree with you. I'm not sure if they are able to create compelling stories. I'm really not sure how else can these movies be saved. And guys, I am a movie lover, okay? You can tell, like my posters, like I went to film school, I have a film degree, okay? I love movies, and nothing makes me more happy than watch a good film. And that's all I want for Star Wars. I want those movies to be fun, to be enjoyable, and all of that, okay? And obviously, if they want to bring some sort of like the good thing about films, it's you can be inspiring and you can always tell these heroic stories and have people relate to these characters. However, this is what they don't know how to do, okay? Because they want to be so righteous, right? Because now look at us, we're so inclusive, we have this and we have all this diverse, but it's not even a proper representation if you think about it, okay? I mean, first of all, you want to bring LGBT characters, and why do you have to do it with established character? Why can't you just bring a character and create a new character? And first of all, why is it important for people to know even their sexuality? Since when this stuff belonged in Star Wars? This is the kind of thing that makes me upset. It just doesn't make any sense. It shouldn't be about skin color or gender or any of that. It should be about a good story to begin with. Well, crying out loud. I mean, why? Why can you not just see that? I'm getting worked up, you see? This is where I always get upset with these films. I love movies. I loved Star Wars. I love these films. I grew up with these films. But they are no longer fun, Right now you go there and it's just 30 minutes of horses, stupid horses. Like, what the hell is that? Who cares? Oh my God. Okay. Counselor Love, thanks for the super chat. Viv, favorite Superman, Christopher Reeve forever. Yes, Christopher Reeves will forever be Superman. You know, I think that even though I liked Brandon Roth, I like his acting. I think it was good. Even though I didn't like that movie very much, I do like Henry Cavill as well. But obviously, I think the top role model Superman is forever Christopher Reeve, just because he was so likable, right? He has the spirit of Superman. I look at them at that guy. I remember when I was a kid, I was like, wow, that is Superman, you know. And I don't know if because now when I watch this movie I am an adult, but I look at them, I said, yeah, he could play Superman, but he's not Superman. I think it's always going to be Christopher Reeve. Anthony Jordan said Grace Randolph is nuts and huge liar. Grace wanted Gal Gadot to be nominated for Best Actress. Uh, you think she's a liar? So do you think that her exclusive news are actually not true? I mean, that's a pretty bold move to go online with the amount of following that she has, if that whatever she says was not true, you know. So I don't know. I think that at least I think what she said, I mean, I cannot say. It might be true, it might not be true. But I think that the way that you have that many followers, to say something like that, especially about Star Wars, you know, there's so many, that there are a huge following, it would be kind of, I don't know, it could be damaging for her career as well. So I don't know. That's why I believe her. And I think that there is some truth behind her, what she told us, you know. So I really don't think that that would be a lie. This whole obviously, perhaps the details are not very clear, but I'm pretty sure someone did tip her off. Someone really told her what's going on over there, you know. And if you really look at the stage of Star Wars, it's not that very hard to guess that it would lead to this way, you know, because DVD sales are low, toy sales are low, you know, Solo flopped. So a company needs to be aware of these things, okay? They might not bring attention to the public, but they are aware. They're no stupid, okay? Uh, what is Matrix said? She's pretty professional, sometimes a hole. Is she? I don't know. I like to see a lot of her movie stuff because again, I love movies, and and I mean, she does have a lot of good connections, you know, that gives her nice exclusive news, I guess. Okay, wait, my phone. I just the end of my live stream right now because unfortunately I need to go. But I will be doing live chats more often, you know. Probably I need to find a way to let you guys know. Follow me on Twitter. Perhaps I will send a Twitter saying when I'm going to go live. And it's really nice to have this kind of conversations, you know. It's really nice talking to all of you. Thanks very much for all you guys support. I love you guys very much. I really am really digging this whole YouTube community. You know, it's thanks for sticking with me. Really awesome. And anyways, I will see you guys very soon, and huge kisses, hugs, and I'll see you